Alright, I'm gonna try this again. I'll start this off. I'm a little bit nervous on cameras, so I apologize for any weird hand motions or anything I do. I'm not comfortable with this at all. I didn't realize how whiny my voice was until I started recording that, so I apologize for that up front. But all that aside, I just want to take the time to show a little bit about how my lathe and my little area here is set up. I've been wood turning probably about 3 years since I started, mostly after work, weekends, whenever I had a little bit of spare time. I probably had less than 50 to 100 projects total in the first 2 years of me turning. I started off on a Harbor Freight central machinery lathe. It's what got me started. Had issues with it, mostly for like the speed control. I got tired of having to like constantly use a lever, so I ended up putting it on a router speed dial, and that actually ended up killing the motor. Just zapped the strength out of it, and that's probably my fault. I've learned that motors have certain things that they need to do, and lowering the voltage that they get can cause damage. Anyway, all that aside, I moved up to this Rikon here. I bought the lathe bed extension so that I could do longer work. I originally got a lathe because I wanted to be able to do table legs, because I wanted to do tables. I got into hand tools. I enjoyed restoring planes, hand planes, and I really enjoyed the work. I built my first workbench with those tools. That's what my sharpening station and stuff is on right now. It's kind of become a catch-all rather than a workbench right now. That'll all get straightened out when I figure out where I'm going to put everything in the garage. I've got more stuff than I have room to put. Anyway, this is the lathe, as I said. This is the camera setup I try to use when I'm turning, so it allows me to move several different ways here. Alright, I'll have to, anything under the lathe, like the legs here, will catch it, so I have to undo it, move it, but for the most part, it stays close up here. You can swing this around this way, and then I turned this. Originally, I was only going to use this, and then I remembered I had this part of it here. I can kind of raise it, lower it an inch or two, rotate it, and then I can, if I get it in the right spot, I can lock it in place. And that's how I film and try to get the best angles that I can. I've got some old fluorescent lights above my head, and when I get those down, which those are very heavy, I'm going to need help doing that. I'm going to try and hang an arm that will let me kind of get the camera here where you can really see the cuts, see the angles, and how everything's going on. This is where I keep my blanks that are ready to be done that day or the next day, depending. I got a few, okay, I have several here to do. This is what I have for the next projects. I've turned one end round, left the other end square. Basically, that'll just mean that this side will end up being the lid to the box that I'm going to make. Round this off and make the base. And I'll go from there and decide what the wood allows me to make, what it doesn't, what it wants. I don't set off with a particular form in mind. Typically, I have a vague idea. Offcuts here for jam chucks and things like that. Anyway, there's that part. Now let me move you here to my toolbox area. Let's see, can you see? I'm in the way. Got my dust collector. Can walk through here, slip it on. not a lot going on there. I usually use it for dusting. I should probably run it at all times when I'm turning the cedar, but I forget. Um, this is supposed to be here. This is where I keep my finish. Rags to put the finish on. Old rags to kind of knock dust and stuff out of the boxes. Wrenches for taking care of stuff around the house. This is where I keep my tools. We'll show that off in a minute. This is where I keep the stuff that I am currently using when I'm turning. So, you know, for example, come over here, we cut, we turn, grab the X tool, move on. Makes things a lot faster. I don't lose my tools as much from them falling off to the back and getting mixed up with the blanks and whatever else falls on it while that's happening. Let's see, what all can we see here? I gotta check. Come on, there we go. I have my chuck keys. I have center drive, spur drive. I have these that go to the 3-in-1 screw chuck for when I do bowls. I have this Nova chuck, this Nova chuck, the one that you saw on the lathe. And I have a Vicmark VM120 with 4-step jaws. And I have another VM120 with, I believe it's a 6-inch set of dovetail jaws that I got for doing plates. I have just little sharpeners, burnishers. It just helps me pull up or refresh a burr on a scraper and sharpen the skew chisel mostly. I'd show you my sharpening station, but it's a little bit cluttered over there right now. I had to move all of this. I had to move a bunch of stuff to move it, so everything's kind of in a state of limbo right now. I'm trying to get everything moved and fixed. I got a pile of old 4x4s where I broke down pallets sitting over there. That's neither here nor there. I guess it's not important. I got clean up stuff for, you know, getting dirty. Got my sandpaper. I got my little small strips of sandpaper. The key for the drill chuck that goes in the tailstock. What else we got? I don't think that's about all I've got over here. I got typically when I turn, I wear they're one of the vented forced airflow masks. I have to cut the beard because it's misshaping it and pulling it, turning it up. Did a video earlier where I made this box. Make sure we're in nice view here. Nice, very nice grain alignment. Lid looks okay. Bottom looks okay. A little dirty from where it was sitting out here. But the main thing is it has a nice, good pop fit lid. Which is kind of what I go for when I turn. I don't know. I found it easier to just dial that in real quick. Because then if you make a mistake, then it just goes to being a loose fit lid. Or maybe a suction fit lid if it happens to be just right. Didn't really set out to do YouTube, if I'm being 100% honest. The main reason is I plan on selling boxes, and I want to show people that I'm not selling junk. I'm not some robot or machine putting out stuff to get you to buy. I want people to know that what I turned or what I'm selling is what I've turned. Obviously, I won't be able to record every single box that I make, but I'm going to try and record at least one or two a week, depending on time, depending on my job, depending on what's going on in life. But mostly, I want transparency. I don't want anyone to think that I'm trying to gimmick them or anything like that. I hope that tells you maybe a little bit about me, about my honesty and my integrity. That's the main things that I want. I don't want to do or sell anything that I myself would deem subpar. That doesn't mean that I'll be absolutely perfect at everything, you know, but I will do my best for anybody that's watching this in the future when I do, I guess, get an Etsy shop or start selling in various places. Again, as I said, I'm nervous on cameras. I don't particularly enjoy talking. I can turn in front of the camera all day. That doesn't bother me. But having to talk, it's weird for me. I'll probably get better over time, hopefully. I guess now I can take y'all to the kiln and show y'all a few things in there. I'll be right back when I turn the camera back on. Alright, so this is the kiln. I built it. Let me lower that down. I got was it 600, 900, 1200 watt heater here, set on the lowest setting. This is an old freezer. It was given to me. It doesn't work anymore. I was fortunate to have the shelves. Got various boxes. A few boxes are in here trying to keep my humidity up so that things don't case harden and dry too quick. I run it right now at 120. Eventually I'll if I have wood that's buggy, I'll run it for probably 8 hours at 140, but I'll have to wait till everything's dry before then. I had a lot of red oak pieces in here, but they've let's see if I can find one that you can actually see it easily on. So I don't know how well some stuff will show up on camera. I guess I'll just use this gnarly thing. What can we see here? So this was out of a limb area of a piece of red oak, and as you can see, it's cracked quite a lot. I'll end up epoxying this. I like the way this looks. Even if I don't sell this to anybody, it may just be a personal piece that's warped in some pretty crazy ways as it's been drying. Deep splits, deep checks. I have to be really careful turning this. Can't go too fast, but we'll see how that turns out. I hope it turns out nice. Let's see that. This is the bowl that I roughed out in the last video, I believe it was. It's warped a little bit. Drying out nicely. Probably be drying another week or two. I'll have to start weighing it then. Got a few little small boxes like this from the red oak. Got some nice spalting on it. Talking about splits, right here's one. I don't know if I'm going to turn that out when it goes back on the lathe. I guess that's about it for the kiln. You know, I got a few other odd and end pieces, but hopefully you enjoy that, get an idea of what's really going on in here. Beyond that, I hope everybody has a great day.